So anyone who's seen any of my videos or happens to know me knows I'm a pretty big gearhead. I like good old-fashioned American horsepower about as much as the next guy, but I'm going to bring you something a little different today. It's something that is probably way more polarizing than the other videos I've made. Today, I'm going to talk to you about EVs. I warned you it was, it's a touchy topic. But as technology has advanced, as I've got really good friends of mine who have EVs, I became a little more open to the idea and decided to look into it a little bit more. And I'm not going to bore you with the story. It involves hitting a deer. Long story short, I ended up with this thing. And I'm going to give you my thoughts after 1 month of driving this car. Come up with about 7 key observations that I think kind of define the landscape of EVs in 2026. Are they as good as some people say? Are they as bad as some people say? Let's find out. I keep running into new conveniences every day, and here's one. The wind chill outside's below zero. I can remote start this car in the house garage, no carbon monoxide, get the cab warmed up, seats, heated steering wheel all ready to go. How convenient is that? One thing to note in this video, I'm going to be referring to EVs and ICE. ICE means internal combustion engines. And so in no particular order, number one, power. The power of an EV for kind of a gearhead guy like me is really a lot of fun. Like, it is immediate and loads of power all on tap right when you want it. It's literally right now. No revving, no waiting for RPMs, no hunting to find the right gears, just effortless power. And the EVs do that with no fuss at all. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, even a little car like this, man, it's really zippy. So when you're passing, when you're getting up to speed on the highway, maybe you're climbing a steep grade and trying to maintain speed, EVs are sort of in a class of their own when it comes to that. Number two, convenience. I used to have to go to the gas station once a week. Do you know how many times I've had to stop to charge? Like in my old car. All right, what day am I gonna get gas? I try to do it around weather or the day I'm the least busy. And you pull in, you're jockeying for the right fuel pump, and you gotta get on the right side, and then you got the heat, the cold, the rain, the snow, and the weather, and then you finally get to that pump, and you get out, and you press 10 buttons, and then, oh, this card reader's down, move to a different pump. That just seemed to be my life. I don't have to do that anymore. Actually, think of it like a cell phone. Think of it like that. And here's what I mean. When and where do we charge our cell phones? At home, while we sleep. Guess when I refuel this car? At home, when I sleep. So I bought a level 2 Amazon EV charger. It was under $200. And it will charge this car from 0 to 100 overnight. And I do it when I don't need the car, when it's just like sitting here. Number three, money. Now, I'm not even going to go into how I got this 2019 Chevy Bolt, other than to say those early models had a battery recall and GM offered to fix it or buy it back. This car, and there's a bunch out there, was a buyback. It got a brand new warranty this last summer, has an 8-year, 100,000 mile battery warranty, whole propulsion system warranty on it, and it cost less than a comparable ICE car. Has 38,000 miles. So money was a big deal, and one of the biggest reasons I bought the car. So let's just do a comparable here. Just bear with me. I drive about 15,000 miles a year, about 1,250 miles a month. This car right here gets about 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour, and a similar, say, Chevy Trax gets about 30 miles to the gallon. Now, this is all mixed driving, highway and city. Now, at home here, I pay 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour for electricity, and nationwide gas right now is $2.80. This car here cost me $33 a month to drive, and the comparable ICE car is $117 a month. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, gas is $2.20 where I'm at. I know the gas changes pretty rapidly, whereas electricity is a lot more stable. But be that as it may, let's say that a gallon of gas is $2. That would cost me $83 a month. Well, that's still well more than double what I'm paying for this car. In fact, to get an ICE car to drive per month for the same price as this car, gas would have to be 80 cents a gallon. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, gas is historically low right now, so when gas swings back the other way, electricity doesn't change a whole lot, and so that gap is it's monumental right now. And when gas goes up to really what its normal is, it's even bigger. Another major factor in the cost savings is, so in an ICE car, when you're driving down the road, you're coasting down a hill, you're coming to a stop, you can't recapture gasoline, right? You burnt it to get going, and now it's gone. You can drive conservatively, and you can do that in this car too, but the big difference with an EV is when you're slowing down to a stop, when you are coasting down a hill, this electric motor actually works as a generator in reverse. And so it regenerates power back into the battery. These cars will build anywhere from 10 to 30% of their power back in through regeneration. So that helps broaden the gap even more as far as money savings go. Now, I don't want to get into the weeds here, but just a few other things to note. I went to Hy-Vee a little while back and found they have free EV charging. And then I did some more searching. There's free EV chargers spread out all over the place. And so I charged up pretty much my whole drive that day when I was in grocery shopping. So that's pretty cool. Now, EV tires wear out a little more quickly because of weight and regenerative braking, but ICE cars, brakes wear out faster. And another thing, this car here never requires an oil change. So I don't know that anything in the weeds really make much of a difference. The big difference is how much you can save when you have an EV and you can charge it from home. So right now, this car's really saving me money hand over fist in the short run. Now, the long-term savings is a little tougher to calibrate. How much did you pay for the electric car? Because EVs do depreciate more quickly. So I got mine cheap, okay? Some of them are more. So that's a factor you have to figure in. I came up with this scenario, 20 years, 20-year ownership, 300,000 miles would be the mileage I use. Let's say in the electric car, you needed a new battery at 10 years, which is conservative. So I had to buy one battery to get me to 20 years, okay? I know this is a little complex, bear with me. The price of the battery for this car with labor is $17,000. I would have spent about $8,000 in electricity over those 20 years. That comes to $22,000 is how much I would have put into this car to keep it going for that long. An ICE car, I would have paid $28,000 just in gas, not counting oil changes, which probably another $2,000. So you can see the difference. So what I would say is, if you sell this before it needs a battery, you're winning. If you sell it right after or shortly after you pay for a new battery, you're losing. But if you put in that battery and then keep it longer again, then you're winning again. Hopefully that makes sense. We're assuming the worst out of this car. It's going to need a battery in 10 years. But we didn't assume the worst out of the ICE car. Will your car make it 300,000 miles in 20 years without needing an engine or major engine work, a transmission or major transmission work that this car probably will not need? So by my math, this car is saving me tons of money, all the way to the point that it needs a battery. And of course, this one has an 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty, so it isn't going to be needing a battery for me anytime soon. But if I do put that battery in it, I need to then drive it longer. Number 4, cold weather. Boy, we've heard about that a lot on TV and hearsay and that sort of thing. So what's true and what isn't? Did you know that in extreme cold, our ICE vehicles actually lose 10 to 15, maybe even 20% of their range due to oxygen-rich, very cold, dense air, as well as winter blend gasoline? Now EVs lose range too. So your modern EV loses about 15 to 20% of its range due to the chemistry in the high voltage battery being extremely cold, which is just a tiny bit of loss. But really, your ICE car creates heat from the engine and the combustion. Well, EVs don't create heat like that. So they actually have to create heat for the cabin in a different way. Newer EVs use a heat pump, just like a house, and they're very efficient. So the margin of efficiency loss on a modern EV is infinitesimally more than an ICE car, generally speaking. Quick side note, this car's worse. So it's older and it has a heat element instead of a heat pump. So this car can lose 25, even 30%, maybe even a touch more if you're really cranking it. So I'm going to throw that in there about this car. But your modern EVs, compared to your ICE cars and loss of range due to cold air, it's just not very significant. The next factor is, well, EVs don't work in the cold, right? They don't start. That's not true. So when I picked this car up, it was 4 degrees outside. It sat out all night. It was not plugged in. No problems at all. What's interesting is when there's a frigid air mass that moves in and there's a charging station that doesn't work, or there's some EVs that aren't starting or won't charge, it makes headline news, right? Like we see it and we're sitting in our living room at home like, oh God, it sucks to have an EV. Meanwhile, there's dozens of ICE cars in the neighborhoods around that don't start either because of the frigid cold, or let's not even get into diesel and gelling of fuel. And so it's a weird thing where the media tells a story a certain way, but doesn't tell the whole story. And to be honest with you, this car here in the cold would probably not start for the same reason that an ICE car would not start. And that is, this car has its high voltage battery that drives it, but it also, under this hood here, has a regular 12 volt battery just like any other car. And that battery is what powers all the brains and electronics in this car. Because we've all probably experienced an ICE car that would not start in the cold because the battery was too low or the battery went bad. These will do the same thing. If that 12 volt battery gets too low, the computers in here do not have enough energy and enough power to start the car. I'm in a Facebook group with tons of people in Canada and the northern states, Michigan, Wisconsin, who drive these cars, and some of them even keep them indoors. And they drive fine, they start fine. So I think if there's any truth to it, it is razor thin. Another interesting phenomenon, would you be surprised if I told you that ICE cars catch on fire at a higher rate than EVs? I had no idea of this. But the news crews, they sprint EV on fire. Meanwhile, how many ICE cars have been on fire? And how many news crews rush there? Hey, gasoline car on fire. Well, that's not really newsworthy, is it? So some of these things have been kind of beat into our head, and I would say that they're both myths. Number 5, I think. And I'm not going to get on a soapbox here because this is not really the reason I bought this car. But there are some environmental differences between this and an ICE car that are noticeable. The first one is not in this car's favor. So the mining of battery materials, it's kind of the dirty secret behind EVs. Invasive to the terrain. It's not a good thing. Now we're recycling batteries now, so I love that. But I'm going to be honest, I don't really know how to calibrate that part of it, because there are some that pretend like they drive an EV and pretend that didn't happen, and it did, and it's dirty. But then there are other people who I think exaggerate it And then they don't even consider the benefits that do exist, which I'm going to get into right now. Once this car is at the dealer, its carbon footprint is so much less than an ICE car, it's actually eye-opening. And let me tell you why. In an ICE car, 100% of what you're using to drive is greenhouse gas emitting, carbon emitting. It's coming out the tailpipe. An electric car, it's getting its fuel from the electric grid. Well, in the United States, on average, 40% of our power is either nuclear or renewable. Well, so that means that 40% of what this car is using to drive is emitting no greenhouse gases, is emitting no carbon into the atmosphere. And I'll take that a step further. A minute ago, we talked about regen in electric cars, anywhere from 10 to 30%. It builds back into the battery. So let's just go off the low end of that. That takes that 40% number on the power grid of nuclear and renewable and jumps it to 50. So half of the energy that this car drives with does not create any greenhouse gases. Okay, we know where the other 50% comes from for this car. It's coal, which is carbon emitting, okay? But the other half of what drives this car is zero, like half as much. Over the course of 10 or 20 years, like that is, how monumental is that? My personal opinion is this car is harder on the minerals in the ground to extract the battery parts, but this car is way better for the environment as a whole. Number 6, charging speed. You know, we've heard all the people, I could never own an EV. I can't sit on the side of the road for 3 hours. Well, that's not technically how charging really works these days. So there's 3 levels of chargers in 2026. The first, it's almost like a glorified laptop charger. Plugs into any standard wall outlet, charges very slowly. I was able to maintain my 250, 300 miles a week with that charger, just barely. But now I have level 2. It will charge this car from 0 to 100 overnight while I sleep with room to spare. Well, then there's level 3 chargers, and those are spread out along interstates and along highways. And so a lot of cars these days will charge from about 10% to 80% in under 30 minutes. And so does that take longer than filling a gas tank? Absolutely. But it's not as bad as it used to be. Number 7, if you would require frequent super or fast charging on the side of the road to make your commute work, unless you're already stopping someplace for a reason where you could fast charge, it's not really worth it. Or unless maybe you work somewhere, let's say you don't have enough miles to get to work and back, but your work offers free charging, which a friend of mine has that, or at a reduced rate or a lower cost, and you can drive to work, charge at work, and drive home, that would work. But if you drive more miles than your EV can get you to day, I wouldn't recommend one. But the vast majority of us don't do that. That's not where we're at. The vast majority of us do have enough mileage in an EV that we can do our daily commute and charge at home while we sleep. Now, we have a pretty busy life. We're hauling horses around multiple times a week, and so we are fortunate. We have a third vehicle, and it is a gas-powered truck. Say I need to drive 800 miles and back and I don't have time to charge. We do have that convenience in our back pocket. So having that option, that third option, really helps us take advantage of the benefits of this vehicle. So far, guys, I'm pretty sold on these EVs. I feel like I'm saving money hand over fist. I love driving it. There's a lot of conveniences with it. I don't know if it'll work for you, but I just shared a lot of the information I've learned so far in the first month. And if I get any updates or whatever, maybe I'll do a year review or something and take it from there. Happy trails.